Hello and welcome back to another Talking Wolves podcast. We're here for the final one of the 18-19 season. We're going to be doing a season review, talking about the last month of fixtures and just giving our overall thoughts on the season. We've got your questions as well. My name is Dave. I'm alongside Matt Cooper today.
All right, mate.
All right, mate.
All right.
And Tom
I
Rouse.
your second name was double-barrelled.
What?
Matt Cooper today.
Yeah, Matt Cooper today, that's it.
Parents split up at young age.
And Tom Rouse, the old Golden Black. You've
Hello.
got a quadruple barrel name.
Yeah.
Alright, maybe not. I mean, let's go straight into it. Brilliant. The last time we met was after the Southampton game. After Nuno had a bit of a tantrum. We had Callum here. And it's just the three of us today. We're going to be talking about, let's get the results out. It seems so long ago now. So since then, by the way, you two said we wouldn't get Europe or finish 7th place. I do remember.
Didn't I say that we would?
Oh, just to be different.
Yeah, I think so. You didn't actually believe
Who
it,
was
did
right?
you?
Well, since then we had a 0-0 draw against Brighton, a 3-1 win against Arsenal, a 2-1 win against Watford, a 1-0 win against Fulham, and a 2-0 loss to Liverpool. Let's start with that Brighton game at home at Molineux.
Cult classic.
Mm.
Can't wait for
was.
the DVD.
Yeah.
It's on the season review. That'll be the key match.
Everybody was having a meltdown, weren't they? Because after that, but in hindsight, I think it was quite a well-earned point against the team that was only coming to get a 0-0.
I've never seen a team like actually not attacking.
I know.
it.
I know. I was really surprised because the fixtures that Brighton had after was something like Spurs. Did they have to play Arsenal or something? They had a really tough run of fixtures, so that ours was the last winnable game really for them. Although did they beat Newcastle or get a point at Newcastle or something like that afterwards?
I think they were just reliant on Cardiff not picking any points up there, weren't they?
I was shocked to see them not try and attack at any point because I thought we would get a goal on the break in that game.
There was a couple of times where like Brighton broke for like Azequedo or Murray, and it was just like no one broke with them. They'd like lump it forward and then they'd like sit. Like, you're not even trying to score it. Did they have one attempt at goal? It's negative football.
I read the last game of the season. I read a Norwich fan talking about Chris Hughton saying that why everybody was getting excited when it was 1-0 to Brighton or even 2-1 to Man City because they always play for 0-0. Even if it was 5-0 to City, they'd still play for 0-0.
Yeah.
They've got no other way of playing. So they'll be different next season. Perhaps that will be something we come on to in a minute. But that game. It's not. I can't really analyse it much more than that.
Starting, we hit the woodwork a couple of times, didn't we? But it was frustrating. They, as you say, they had the one man forward, and every time they lumped the ball forward to either Murray or whoever, they didn't really want to score, did they?
It was after that game that lots of people were talking about how Wolves need to think of another way of playing against these bottom teams, and particularly that we don't need to play 5 at the back.
No.
We might see it now against Sheffield United next season or those teams down the bottom of the table. We have to just play 4 at the back. Extra man in midfield or an extra wide man, something like that, and have another option in attack because that's why we can't break it down.
Who'd you drop though? It'll be Cody, hasn't it?
Well, the thing is, but could you not? I
four.
thought, could you not push Cody up into a higher role?
Well, I do.
And then, like as they attack, sort of almost fall back. Into the back
a
line,
little bit like Barcelona do. I think I would see it as Dendoncker doing that job rather than because apparently he can play centre back. But we haven't really seen it a lot apart from the League Cup. But we need like that Busquets person who can come back when we haven't got possession, but then be capable of taking it. I think Dendoncker at our level is I think capable of doing that.
It's true.
Dendoncker is Busquets at our level.
Yeah, hashtag.
Huge statement.
No, I mean, at that point though, I think it was a little bit worrying when I think we knew that, or we felt that 7th place.
I remember doing the fan cams after the game. I was like so pissed off. I was like, it's rubbish. How can we not beat a team like that? The run we've had, it's just so disappointing that you can't break teams down like that. But you'll go and put, in the coming week 3 past Arsenal.
I think we were resigned to. I think we were 10th or something in the table at that point, and we were resigned to thinking, well,
that's it.
We've got Liverpool to play. We've got Arsenal to play. We're not going to get enough points to finish 7th.
I did say Sod's Law though.
Well, it is, yeah.
Oh, yeah, everybody said it. Everybody said it.
Well, that was the next game. Arsenal 3-1. Sod's Law. We struggled to score against Brighton, and then we were free scoring almost against Arsenal.
I remember half time we were 3-0 up, and I weren't shocked. I was like,
no, it could have been more.
Yeah, I think that scoreline actually flatters Arsenal a little bit. 3-1.
It started really well that game though.
I remember we didn't have a touch of the ball for the first 2 or 3 minutes. I remember counting, just thinking we're not going to see the ball if we're going to lose this comfortably. But it was like classic Moutinho, just edging us into the game, winning possession back now and again, just keeping the ball for a second or so, and then building up the pitch. Bit of luck with a wonder goal from Neves at last.
I think that was due, wasn't it? Overdue, that goal as well.
Then
it's almost a perfect free kick, the way it dipped straight in.
I filmed it, and I said to the person sitting next to me, "Now I'm filming it.
It won't happen.
He's not going to score now." So then, all you can hear at the end is laughing, not celebrating. Is
that on your channel?
It is on the channel, which you can check out the old Golden Black. Yeah. I noticed that video didn't get taken by anybody because it's got my little logo in the corner.
You didn't pull that. A lot of people would have taken that, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal's defence was wide open, wasn't it? Every time Wolves getting the ball.
Was awful, weren't it?
From what I remember, it was as if they'd never played together before.
It was strange.
But then Arsenal fans must be as frustrated as we are against these bottom teams, because a couple of days later in Europe, then they played. Was it Valencia? They played. Was it Valencia?
Napoli or Valencia.
It was a semi-final.
Valencia.
And they absolutely tore them apart. They scored 7 goals in there.
I didn't think they could take Mustafi out of the team and look worse.
But they were the corner as well, the second goal. And it was took it down in short corners. And it worked perfectly.
I love them. I love short corners. They've so been so
that ball from Johnny. That ball for Johnny was from Johnny for Doc, wasn't it? It was brilliant. Yeah.
He's brave as well, Doherty, to go. He thought he was going to get clobbered by the goalkeeper. But
keeper was left in no man's land, and then Jota before half time as well.
Classic Jota goal. Brilliant.
Classic. Leno was.
Keeper should have done better again, like the United goal.
On both of them.
Yeah. Well, I think it's sometimes the way that Jota moves with the ball is so quick. He just runs directly at the defenders.
I don't know how he does it.
It's not like
he's not. Doesn't look very speedy. He's just the ball just sticks to
accelerate.
His core is made of granite.
I know how he feels.
As you said, I think that was a bit of it felt routine almost, didn't it? After that,
that's probably the most comprehensive performance of the season. Maybe West Ham at home 3-0.
Yeah, I don't remember being 3-0 up in the Premier League though at half time against anybody.
Well, for a team that's almost notoriously doesn't score much goals in the first half this season,
and against Arsenal historically we've been. I don't remember us getting a point. One point at
their
the
place
Emirates
this season. Yeah.
Well, before that, when Milias got sent off.
Yeah.
But we've always been terrible. No.
Still
boycotting.
Wasn't that Atwell as well?
Yeah, I think it was in a black kit.
That's it. He's got the black and orange.
I was wearing it.
I mean, what was the next game after that? And then the next game was the Watford game. So we'd gone 3 on the bounce there with no losses, and that Watford game was huge because I think the table had almost shaped into something now. If we beat Watford, 7th place was almost ours to lose, wasn't it?
Well,
to a degree, yeah.
It made it so that we only had to beat Fulham and then rely on Leicester not beating Chelsea and City. Yeah. So, but it was a little bit of redemption and avenging the defeat from the FA Cup semi-final, but at the same time it was so frustrating that Watford was so terrible.
Yeah.
Like they were in the first half of first hour of the cup game as well. They didn't offer anything. De La Fea was terrible. Without Deeney as well, they didn't look like they had anything at all.
Their best player was Ron Bennett.
Yeah. Class through ball.
I mean, it was written in the stars that Raul would score that header. What a ball from Neves though. It was almost on the floor, wasn't it? Neves onto the wing and then the Jota into Jimenez as well.
He worked really hard, didn't he, Neves, to get the ball live.
I thought he played really well that game. Someone said to me it was his worst performance of the season.
No.
Ain't it weird though? You see football matches completely different to some other people.
Yeah, I had Ben Foster thought it was just a big lump into the box. Or
it
was just a big cross of the century.
Yeah, it's been bitter.
Those are really good finishes by Jota.
Yeah.
To watch the ball for that long is so very difficult.
Well, Foster had a bit of trouble watching that time, so
yeah, but we took that well. And that, as I said, that game was huge. That was arguably, especially the second half of the season, one of the biggest wins of the season in terms of not so much the performance, but in terms of what it did to our season, how it shaped the rest of our campaign. Really,
I remember after the Watford game, I wrote that article that Watford Twitter absolutely loved. So cheers to the retweets, lads. I was like, this could kickfire our season, and. Apart from the Southampton game, it did. And look how Watford crumbled away after that game. They probably come away thinking from that, we're going to get 7th place, we're going to get into an FA Cup final, win the cup, and it couldn't be any further from the truth.
And that, I think maybe it was Nathan Judah or Tim Spears talking on their podcast saying that Watford team now is going to get torn apart in the summer because I think they've got a couple of players on loan, or certainly Capoue looks like he might be off somewhere.
I think both the midfield too as well.
Capue's better than Decore myself. I think both of them could get moves away though.
So that takes well, hypothetically, because Watford was supposed to be getting relegated this season as well, according to all the pundits. So they've overperformed. So it kind of takes away one element of the competition for next year for 7th place again, which is I think what we realistically need to be going for.
They went out with a whimper though, didn't they? I mean, the FA Cup final was
yeah,
it was embarrassing. They
Well.
had the rolled over, had the bellies tickled.
Yeah, I don't think we would have done that in the final.
What?
We would have lost.
I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not saying we would have
wouldn't
won,
have
but I don't think
beaten
we would have got 6.
No.
But I mean, you saw it early doors. Watford had some good chances in there. Was it
That
Pereira?
Pereira
You should have.
chance,
If he put that away, it would have been a
It would have
different
been
game.
6-1. There's no way Man City were losing that game, and Guardiola was so meticulous. He'd have been planning for that game weeks in advance. He'd have known exactly what Watford were going to do. And yes, they set up well to defend, but you can't get a point, can you, in a cup final?
No.
They were always going to lose that game. Always. Play 100 times.
Mahrez versus Holebas as well. Like, I felt sorry for Holebas. He tore him a new arsehole.
Yeah,
Every time he went down that road.
He had that appeal overturned as well, didn't he?
I bet he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
gutted.
Yeah.
I didn't actually watch the final because it was too raw. I was playing cricket. I'd got out.
That's the real reason.
Well, that was part of the reason. I'd got out before the game was starting. I was sitting and I could hear Abide With Me in the national anthem and stuff. It just made me feel too sad. So I went out and umpired for 35 overs. And just I kept.
I rate that, Tom.
I kept. What, me? I just kept saying not out. Class umpiring for me. We got a draw.
Well, you say they're Watford. You don't think they're going to be sort of a direct competition next season for Wolves. If Wolves were to sort of be in and around that 7th place again, who do you think the teams are going to be competing with us?
Everton.
Leicester will be the biggest challenges next
Yeah,
year.
Do you think?
I think they will.
I think
And
Everton will.
Everton.
Well,
Those two.
I think Everton might be pushing for the top 6.
Yeah, so
So should we, yeah. But
Should
Leicester, I think, are the ones that will be under the radar a little bit. Because Everton, everybody knows the players they've got and how, what's his name? The
Silva.
manager?
Silva
has managed to get them going. They've got money as well, whereas Leicester is largely based on Rodgers and his philosophies and stuff like that. I don't think they'll spend too much money, but they'll come better.
They want Iron Robin, don't they?
Do they?
Yeah.
Too old.
He'd be good.
Imagine
I'd like to see him again
Vardy
in the
up front.
front. I know.
Combined age of about 70.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but still probably beat me in a foot race. It's not
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, I mean,
We'll come to that in a bit.
yeah, obviously Leicester. I think Everton, you are right. I think Everton.
West Ham maybe as well.
Well, they had that bid rejected today for Andre Gomez, the one that was
West Ham?
Yeah, on 18 million. They rejected.
Mm.
Surprised we haven't been linked with
What's
him
his
yet.
name? He's going to Tottenham, isn't he? That's what I heard.
Well, I think they want 30 million for him.
He's worth 30 million.
Yeah,
Good player.
he
A bit slow, but a good player. He's strong.
Yeah.
Big lad. Dribble with it. He's got everything really. He's a little bit slow, but
I think he'd work well in our midfield 3 though. As an
if he's going to
option.
go anywhere, it's going to be Spurs or Everton. He's not going to come to Wolves because he's not. He's not head and shoulders above Neves, Moutinho, then Don Curry, or he might be better than one of them.
Mm.
But it's not going to guarantee him to start every week.
I think it means if say Neves was injured or suspended, we could have exactly the same player at the same level,
Yeah.
rather than Gibbs White or whoever it is Sace to come in completely different.
I think Sace will be off.
I do as well.
But
We'll
come
come to
that.
Yeah, we'll talk about rumours and stuff in a bit.
He's talking about Watford at home, FA Cup
Oh, no, yeah.
finals, then Andre Gomez to Wolves.
Yeah. Obviously after the Watford game, then the Fulham game as well. That was a win. A little bit frustrating at times, but I'm glad in the end we got
I
that
thought we had
goal.
another Brighton on our hands, so we can play for the
Fulham
cows
was
come home.
it was weird though because Fulham were knocking it about quite well, but they were sloppy as well, man. Like they'd put 3 or 4 good passes together, and then the defender would like misplace a pass by about 10 yards.
Mm.
We probably should have put that game to bed way before.
That
Mitrovic
Mitrovic chance
scored.
was huge.
Or when he skied it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was. I'm not saying this though.
It's been a long
He was one of the worst players I've seen at Molineux this season, Mitrovic, for a player of his supposed quality.
Comparing him to what he was like last season in the Championship and how much he scared Cody in that game at Craven Cottage, and even at Boxing Day this season, he was a shadow of that.
That's why I want us to sign Rondon to have to play against Cody again. It's just
It's kryptonite, isn't it?
yeah.
But then Donker getting the goal in the end.
Great
Almost,
finish.
Redemption.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
what
was.
I
Do
said.
you remember it? It was across from Doherty.
Yeah, I remember the
Yeah.
goal. Yeah. The great finish. But yeah, I liked how he came out in his interview afterwards and said how bad he'd felt after the cup semi-final. He didn't mention it, but it was his fault for both of the goals that they scored in normal time because he should have closed down De La Feo. He shouldn't have lunged in. He knows that, and what that semi-final is going to do for the players is going to make them better and stronger mentally, and clearly it's affected him and his performance, because that Southampton game he was absolutely terrible. But slowly and steadily he's built it up, and he
had a bit
he
of a
played
dip,
really
didn't
well.
he? But he's very
such a
important.
young player as well, though. Anything like that happens, that could break your career as well.
Yeah,
mentally, isn't it?
and perhaps that's why he didn't play for the first half of the season, is because mentally he was a little bit more immature than.
I think
like
physically as well, he
I
wasn't
think
there as well.
Well,
there was that as well. There's that as well. But like, Neves is an old head on young shoulders, isn't he? Moutinho obviously is really experienced, whereas Dendoncker seems like a teenager still, and seems, willing to go to McDonald's after a game and stuff like that. Whereas
nothing wrong with that, Tom.
No, is that what you did last Friday?
All right,
I did.
I went straight to the pub. I had a Chinese.
But and then the final game of the season was almost like a non-event, wasn't it, against Liverpool? We'd done what we needed to do. I suppose for them it was quite big.
I made 800 quid selling me tickets.
Only
joking.
Laurie Darin falls on the phone as soon as the podcast goes out. Yeah, I mean, we had a chance with Doc towards the end of the first half where he hit the post.
He didn't need to hit it first time, did he? He could have taken a couple of touches and steadied himself.
I think that's the thing with Doc, though. He either gets it perfect every time, or just does either.
It would have been the goal of the century if he'd scored that.
Yeah.
First time across the goal.
I think we could have done them if
we had them on ropes for a large proportion of that
second
game.
half as well.
They were lucky to win, I think. If it had been something that meant something, if we didn't needed to get something, I think we would have got something from that game. But because they were on the beach, our players, we still played well, but didn't need to overexert ourselves.
Talking to the beach, have you seen Costa's new haircut?
Classic.
Yeah.
Frank Rijkaard.
Yeah, but I agree. I think we were on the beach, but for large sums of that game, we had them on the ropes, and we just didn't really capitalise. No, Jimenez had a chance. He just couldn't quite. It was like Jimenez at the start of the season where
Josh had a good chance.
Yeah,
stopped him
yeah. But again, he's no real complaints. He don't take a chance. He's not going to win a game. And Liverpool, they finished on how many points was it?
Well,
96, 97.
Not enough though.
Yeah.
But to have only lost. To only have been done the double over by Liverpool and Huddersfield in your first season back, if we take Huddersfield out of it, to have only Liverpool who's beaten you twice, that's pretty good going.
The Huddersfield one still annoys me though, especially when me and Dave went up.
Tuesday night.
We didn't get back till what was it, like 3:30. We annoyed everyone on Tatter's Travel because we stopped off for
the Tatter's Travel.
We're
probably banned from that. I'm going to message him on Facebook and see if I can get travel for yours.
The chicken selects are absolutely worth it. I'm really, really sorry.
But I mean, 7th place, we've secured it. It's still.
I called it.
You did call it. It feels a bit weird, doesn't it? Like to say Wolves are going to be in European competition next season. I think a lot of people may have expected it. Maybe not so soon.
Rose did. He called it last podcast.
No, at the beginning of the season, I said 8th.
Yeah.
I didn't think that we would take to the Premier League as quickly as we did. A bit like I predicted last season that we'd finish 4th or something in the Championship, just because I thought it'd be a slower start to the season.
Yeah.
And then after Christmas we'd really kick on. Whereas actually it's come in little bursts. We've had a run of 6 games where we've been amazing, then not very good for 2 or 3. So if we can do that again next season, because it could just be a fluke this season. We know that it's not, because we've watched Wolves for the last 2 years under Nuno and known that this is a steady progression and it's getting better. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that point. Would you like me to turn the boiler on?
Yeah. It's up the boiler.
Someone's having a shower tonight. I said 11 for 12.
I think we said,
a lot of people did.
I'd have been happy to stay up. I remember when I went to Channel 4 on the Real Football Fan Show.
So we just pick that name up for
Cheers,
you.
mate, thank you. And we rolled a VT. And it was like,
As a videotape.
Sorry.
The older generation.
Yeah, when people were saying that Wolves were going to get Europe, and I come back and I had Robbie
remember they were
laughing down my ear. I was like, "Oh, ain't got a clue what you're on about."
You reckon Wolves are going to get Europe, and they're all laughing at
Matt, the Wolves fan. Matt, you're going to get Europe. I was like, "No, mate, we're not. 10 between 10 and 12, so 11th." And yeah, I just can't believe it. It's surreal. I just can't wait to book my flights.
What a banger.
Yeah, Cardiff Met.
So if there was one team in the second qualifying round that we could take on, who would it be? Out of the names that you've seen.
Well, the romantic one would be Honved.
Yeah.
Because I've got a Hungarian teaching assistant. She knows nothing about football, but she knows that there's a link between Honved and Wolves. And Puskás, she knows all that. So that it would be a massive thing, not just for Wolves, but for people in Budapest and in Hungary. It'd be a massive thing, and as well for the whole of Europe, it would be a good story as well. But I would like at some point Rangers. I think would be a good one.
Oh, that'd be a good time. I think they give us a good game as well. Rangers.
I don't know whether we'd get past them just because of
they'd be up for it.
Playing at Ibrox. I think it would be tough for some of the younger players that we've got.
I don't see any problems with Rangers. Basically, to be honest.
Well, yeah, well, you would, don't know.
I'd like Honved though. Just go back to Budapest. Right, City.
Yeah, let's get a list of teams. So there's Honved.
There's no real point looking, is there? Because
I know, but
you've never heard of half of them. It's the places really is what you want to be looking at. Like Iceland, I'd quite like to go to, but
it's expensive there though. You got to think of,
you're not really
pounds per point.
Yeah, well,
the
in that case,
PPP metric that everyone's been.
Any Scandinavian team is out then because they're all expensive, aren't they? Sweden, Finland, Denmark.
I wouldn't mind somewhere in the Czech league, like Mlada Boleslav or something like that. I don't know if
a couple of Maltese teams in there, boys.
Are you Maltese, Dave?
I know. Should have mentioned it.
Are the Red Imps in there as well?
There's the Gibraltars. Yeah.
I
don't think so.
Because
they beat Celtic over like 2 legs last season. Yeah.
Is that team that West Ham lost to 2 years in a row when they
Astra, yeah.
Vauxhall.
Yeah, Vauxhall. Lithuanian team, Montenegrin team, Slovakian, Faroe Islands, Georgian. I mean,
there's a lot of shit in there, isn't there?
We are going to end up with something like Connor's Key or whatever. I mean,
I think Connor's Choirs. I've heard some Wolves fan call.
Well, I was about to say that.
Can you remember which Wolves? Was it from them? Or it might have been Airbus UK.
Jay Cassidy. Yeah. Up the Airbus. Yeah. But
so long as we'll get through the first round, there's no doubt about that. He says no, they'll be clipped.
I think the second and third will be fine. It's the playoff round, the fourth one, which is difficult because they're the teams probably similar levels to us.
Yeah.
For the only difficulty.
When do AC Milan come into it? And Espanyol? I think is that the playoff round?
Yeah, you've got.
I think we beat Espanyol. I don't think we beat AC Milan. But
it's difficult to say.
These are the seeded teams, but I'm not sure if we play against any of these at any point. So there's Roma.
Are we a seeded team?
Yeah, we're seeded, so we're more likely to get a weaker team. Yeah. Well, the unseeded teams at the moment are Lokomotiv Plovdiv from Bulgaria, Lechia Gdansk from Poland.
I'd love to get Gdansk. Yeah.
Finals in Gdansk.
Yeah.
You book your flights now. £100.
Really?
To Gdansk for next.
You've got to get one of them flight covers, a free cancellation.
I might go to Gdansk anyway.
I've heard
it's for a giggle. That's it. Viitorul Constanta from Romania.
Good there.
The winners of the Swedish Cup, whenever that is, and the team in Cyprus, AEL Limassol.
Limassol.
Limassol. So
it's a possible Limassol in this one like that.
Yeah. So we've got a decent chance, but I'm looking forward to it. Anyone watching or listening, let us know the team that you want to face off against.
We'll piss it anyway. We'll win it.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
It would be good if we finished 10th and qualified for the Champions League by winning that.
But let's say now, because sort of this was the end of season review as such, let's have from all of us player of the season, match of the season. Let's go with those two.
What would you like to start? Which one would you like to start?
Go on, do any, Tom.
I don't want to be mainstream and say João Moutinho, but
it's him or Jimenez, isn't it? Really.
I don't think Jimenez even comes close to Moutinho though. I'm not trying to get subscribers. So
it's alright, it's our channel anyway. So
Moutinho is the best player I've seen in a Wolves shirt ever. Jimenez has been our best goal scorer in the Premier League, but without Moutinho, Jimenez doesn't score half his goals. I don't think.
I think Jimenez went missing a little bit at the start of the season, a bit like Dave's title in the season dinner awards.
No, where's the toy? Still haven't found it.
But I have to agree. I have to agree. It's got to be Moutinho. He had a couple of games where he was a little bit hit and miss.
There was that spell.
Watford at home.
Yeah, when we weren't playing very well, where these midfield threes kept turning Neves and Moutinho around, so they're facing their own goal. But then you think about when we went to a 3 midfield, and then the game against United and Spurs away, he was just a different class.
He's he's his best player that I've seen of all shirt as well. For the 3 years I've been following him. No, for me it's Moutinho as well. No one really comes close. I think if you'd have said player of the year rather than the season, it's Jota.
Oh, yeah.
He's been sublime since the start turning the new year. But in terms of this season,
I'll make a shout now. Jota will win the either the PFA or the Premier League Player of the Year next year.
Young player or player?
That player.
For that.
Honestly, God, if he carries on with this,
if
he carries on with this form and gets better, because what was he, 22?
Yeah.
He's gone for it. Or young player. I'll let you off if
he gets a young player.
I'll let you off.
Well, young player, I think should change it. He should be under 20.
Considering he's in the same league as Bernardo Silva, do I think he's going to win it next season?
Just watch. Got faith in him.
It's another big shout from Rouse. I'll probably back Coutinho as well. This player of the season.
What about underrated player of the season?
Johnny, I think.
Yeah.
Johnny.
It's hard to say underrated because they're all.
Maybe someone that's not valued as much as maybe they should be. Or I think John, especially last few, last month or so of the season, he really turned it up, man. Johnny did.
Yeah, but is he underrated if you paid £16 million for him?
No, but I mean, after a game, you don't see many people talk about Johnny and how good he was, do you? And if you think the amount of people that would doubt him when we got rid of Douglas, I mean,
Douglas.
People weren't really sending abuse to Johnny, but I think a lot of people were upset with.
I remember seeing him at Derby in that pre-season friendly and just thinking, oh my god, he hasn't got a left foot and he's playing left wing back.
Yeah,
we're going to be doomed here. And if you compare his assists and goals to Doherty's on the other side, there's no comparison. Doherty's by far he's contributed more to the team. So I don't know whether he's underrated or whether he genuinely hasn't performed as well as Doherty. I think Vinagre, we'll start seeing him more.
I think with the amount of fixtures he'll have next season, he deserves it.
I think they'll switch. I think Johnny will go to right back.
Yeah,
if you look at all the players that we're linked with an awful lot of right backs, considering Doherty's got how many goals this season.
I think we might cash in on Doherty as well. I can't see him getting any better than he is now, and we could certainly get
15, 20 million for
20
him.
million, I reckon, yeah.
And that's £20 million profit.
Well, you're never going to, exactly.
He's been there since day dot though, hasn't he? Which is, that kind of sentiment hasn't got us anywhere before. So.
No, and so I've been watching Man City over the last couple of weeks and thinking about Kompany and comparing him with Cody almost, in that he was there before the takeover. Not in terms of quality, but in terms of they were there. They sort of the transition between the old guard and the new guard has been through Vincent Kompany, and whether Cody and Doherty is that version of it for us is I think that's possible, and whether they might hold on to them a little bit longer just because of that, I don't know.
In terms of underrated though, I don't think everyone's been underrated because we were a newly promoted team. We finished 7th. No one would have expected that, but I think Bolly for me, he doesn't get the prize he deserves.
It's a good shout.
He's been fantastic.
If he was French, he'd be playing international football, wouldn't he, as well? He's not going to get in there, but
he's going to play for Ivory Coast.
Yeah,
I think. Well, I said that, but there's been nothing about it since. And the African Cup of Nations and far away as well.
Bennett's obviously, like you said, an easy one to.
Honestly, without that block against Chelsea, we don't finish 7th. We don't. That turned our season around. That would have been 6-7 games of that win. We wouldn't. That would have been 2-0 Chelsea. That game's written off. Lose against Newcastle in the next game.
It's all
Nuno sacked.
Nuno sacked, yeah. But if we don't get relegated, Sam Allardyce takes us down.
He doesn't chuck one in for Watford,
We won that game though.
It's all ifs and buts, isn't it? So.
Well, yeah, but that happened, and
to be fair, he had a great block against Arsenal as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And if he wouldn't have blocked that, we would have gone down, Rose.
I mean,
underrated player, Dave.
Johnny, I said, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
first. Yeah. I said Ryan Bennett, but I'm not allowed to.
Of course you're allowed. This is a democracy, not a dictatorship.
That's why Rouse is going to make a petition when we sell Doc, like when we sold Edwards.
I didn't make a petition.
No, I know.
Bet you did.
But there is the amount. No, I know what, the point about Doc though is a good point because like his value is now as high as it'll ever be.
Yeah. His stock is very high.
Yeah. And if we do sell though, imagine the amount of dollars that are going to be upset.
It depends who we sell him to. because he's an Arsenal fan only apparently. So if Arsenal were to come in for him, 15-20 million, he will think, I've been at Wolves for nearly 10 years now. Fancy a challenge, maybe Champions League football if they were to win on Wednesday. I wouldn't begrudge him that.
Can't see you not every point, Matt Doherty. I'm sorry.
Who's there right back now? Lichtsteiner.
No,
Bellerin and Lichtsteiner,
and
yeah.
Kolasinac.
He's left back. Well, he's
He
been
plays on
playing
the right as well,
back
doesn't he?
I think-
Bellerin's short, Kolasinac is short, Liechtenstein not even convinced he's a footballer. So
welcome back Doherty.
yeah. Announced Doherty. Hashtag.
It wouldn't surprise me if a team above us came in for him as a squad player.
Spurs.
Spurs been after him
Trippier's
before,
going
then.
to
Trippier's leaving.
Napoli?
Napoli or Rome or something. Yeah.
How does that even? He sort of just close her eyes.
It's like Joe Hart to Torino.
That'll do.
Remember that one? Yeah.
And Ramsey to Juventus.
Juventus.
The king of the free agent now, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's it.
Game of the season.
That's it.
Sorry, mate. I know you're hosting, but just conscious
I'm
of time.
United in the cup stands out.
That's in a different stratosphere though.
Yeah.
You can't even compare any of the other games to that. Leicester at home.
Yeah, I mean for game of the season, that is the game, isn't it? Like, still, as I said, I'm sure I've said it before though. It just doesn't feel like that's not spoke about as much as you'd expect, is it?
Because it wasn't a big team, was
Yeah.
it? Because of all the wins against big teams, that sort of gets.
Was it early kick-off as well?
Yeah, it was 12
Yeah,
o'clock.
yeah.
That's when Jamie Carragher offered to flatten me.
Yeah.
Was
Oh
it a
yeah. He told us this.
What's
That's
this?
it.
When because it was on Sky, wasn't it? And then Carragher, where I sit is right by the commentators section, so they have to walk up past us. And he was being shown to his seat in the concourse. And
Listen to this.
Didn't expose yourself, did you?
No.
No.
So I walked past him, and he was having a go at the steward or something, and I went, and he heard me. I was starting doing this like over people's heads and stuff. And I thought, oh god. And then it went to my seat, and he came up to me right in my face and went, "You do that again, I'll flatten you outside." I went, "Oh, all right, mate."
Really?
Yeah.
He's a shit house, and he should have fucking sit down.
So then my dad hadn't heard what I had said to him. So Carragher walked off to the top of the stand, and my dad turned around and said, "What are you going to do, spit at us?" And then he came back down again. He went, "No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that." Hang on. We know that you do. I wouldn't do that. And then he called down a scruffy git and then went off and he said, "You better, if you do that again, I'll flatten you."
But, do you not learn his lesson? He
Well,
can
exactly.
being that alright about something in the
I
throat.
was going to say, he must have it every single ground that he goes to. People must wind him up about
Did
it.
you do that because you actually had a bit of a cold? Or just
No, because I went to wind him up. Yeah.
Whose mobile number or someone's mobile number on Twitter? Didn't you see that?
Yeah.
Yesterday? Don't know whose it was. Everyone thinking it was Gary Neville's or something.
Yeah.
Just text the number.
But in terms of,
Yeah.
was that your moment of the season one?
It's certainly up there. That Jimenez waved at me at Liverpool because I was wearing a Mexico '98 shirt, and I went and patted the badge, and he went. So Finners after that.
Weirder.
Oh my god!
Who is this nonsense here?
Is that Finners?
Nonce.
No.
Man United at home. The cup.
Cup.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Mainstream only.
But it's.
It is
Oh,
the
sorry. It was the game of the season. It was brilliant. The whole.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
No, it's alright.
No, sorry.
No, it's it's the whole game. Just everything riding on it. The build up in the press and stuff beforehand. You know, United had just lost to Arsenal, but had won 300 games in a row since Ollie was at the wheel. Yeah. And we turned
We
them over.
took their wheel off and threw it in the bin, didn't we?
Yeah, we
ruined their season. Ruined his career, Solskjaer.
Do you see what Solskjaer said yesterday about Jaap Stam and the other centre half?
Oh
Did you say that?
yeah.
He's what we could do with them now.
That's a proper sending.
While
for his own
Rashford and
defence.
Lingard were doing the plunger, he's standing next to him.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
And when you said Rashford was coming to Wolves, Dave.
Brilliant. Remember that?
We gave you that information.
Oh dear.
I know.
It was funny.
Anyway, we'll move on now. We've got some questions. Quite
Might do worst player of the season.
There's only one winner for that, isn't there?
Rasta Costa.
Rasta Costa. Held the Rasta.
Let's move on to questions. And the first one is: would you rather push for top 4 this season or get to the quarterfinals of the Europa League? I think push. Well, it says push for top 4.
Push for top 4 actually
or
coming.
get top 4. I think I'd pick top 4 over a Europa
Well, yeah,
League
to qualify for the
quarterfinals.
Champions League.
Yeah. That was from the Howler2 on Twitter.
If push for top 4 means finishing 5th.
You do.
Yeah, I think
especially in the second, next season, I think it will be difficult anyway.
I think you get more praise from media and stuff for your league performance rather than getting to the quarterfinal of the Europa League. I mean, if Arsenal and Chelsea can get to the final, it can't be that good a competition, can it?
He says.
Before we get knocked out to Bala.
I'm happy to get into the group stages Europa League, so that's 3 away days, isn't it?
Well, people are overlooking the home games as well. They're going to be huge. Imagine a 30,000, 25th of July, 30,000 people at Molineux. Sellout would be amazing.
I'd rather push for top 4, to be honest.
It's bread and butter in the league. That's what you've got to do well in, really.
I think
Europe's just almost a bonus for us this season.
Yeah,
anyway.
I hope that it doesn't become a sideshow, the Europa League, and
our under 23 competition.
Yeah, or that we get knocked out before the group stage or something stupid like that, which we probably will.
No, sure.
Yeah, I hope that we qualify, get through the groups, and if we go out then in the last 32 or something, then that's fair. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. For me to push the top 4.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we did touch on this before we started. Harry Mansell says, with it being 16 years since the playoff victory, can the panel share their experience of the day, whether they were there or not? Well, I wasn't. Matt?
I wasn't there. We had tickets. My dad's mate sold the tickets.
It's a common theme of this podcast.
So I'll never forgive him for it, but I do remember the day. I remember going into the back garden at half time trying to recreate the goals.
I still do that now.
Fell on my ass again.
my tooth fell out on that day, I remember.
Classic.
Really?
Tooth fairy didn't turn up. So what's
going
on, Mom? He was at Millennium Stadium, apparently. Yeah. That was it.
Well, I was there. I was 12 at the time, and I don't need to talk about the game, obviously, everybody knows about the game, but beforehand, I remember Sir Jack's car coming right through the crowd of Wolves fans. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
So we were Red Rover, just all of us, because everybody was on the streets and everything around Cardiff. Have you ever been to the Millennium Stadium?
Yeah.
It was right in the middle of Cardiff, so there's just pubs and streets, people around. No cars obviously on that day, but then all of a sudden this Red Rover comes past. One WFC. Oh my god, it's Sir Jack, yes. So everybody was going up to the car and stuff like that, and he was waving at the car. And then for some reason, I remember coming up to the ground, somebody had a 5-a-side football and was booting it miles and miles in the air. Thousands of Wolves fans around. It was just coming down and people running after it, getting it again, and boosh.
I thought he was going to say it landed on the top of the road.
No.
If you watch there's a little clip on YouTube of the end credits of the Sky footage on that day, and there is footage of this 5-a-side ball just
going in the air.
So if you didn't go to the game, if you didn't know about that, you think, what the hell is that? It's just like this thing like that in the air, slow motion. So it's worth watching. It's got
was it one of them air floaters?
No, a 5-a-side, like a tennis ball, sort of.
Oh yeah.
Just being booted around.
Everyone just chasing it.
Yeah. And then I remember after the game coming. I don't think I'd ever heard "Rocking All Over the World" before.
I watched the highlights and that was on the end.
Yeah,
loving it.
And everybody singing along to it, and it's funny how songs like that become attached to a club then, because now every win we play now pretty much.
It's a big win when that comes on.
Tears for Fears, yeah. Sweet Caroline from Bolton away last year, things like that. Just
Wonder Review every now.
Yeah, we'll just get attached to.
Arsenal play Wonder Review, doesn't it?
After the games, we came out and back on the coaches, and there's loads of Sheffield United fans walking past that coach. We think, oh god, but they just gave us a little clap. I think, oh,
disgusting. It's not football's not.
The Sunderland and Charlton fans yesterday, clapping each other in Wembley Way.
Ugly scenes. You don't want to see that.
What I did, there was two things. There's Sheffield Wednesday congratulated Sheffield United on Twitter, and people go, "What is this? Why are you doing that?" But then Newcastle yesterday.
I've seen that.
Congratulations to former Newcastle midfielder Lee Bowyer on their promotion.
That's what you want.
That's
I love that kind of pettiness.
You see that Charlton video when they were doing twist and shout after the game in the changing room?
I don't know. That's a good story as well. Charlton have done really well to turn that around.
But I mean, in terms of the game, Tom, do you remember much of it?
Yeah. What I can remember, because when you think so many things I've watched over and over on YouTube, you forget what's actually a memory. But what I can definitely remember is that behind the goal that Wolves scored the 3 goals at was a little advertising board that was for a regatta, and it said "You'll never walk alone" on it. And the Wolves fans started singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" with about 5 minutes to go or something. I thought, this is going to be our song now.
Why?
Well, They used to do it in the 70s and the 80s as well. If you watch the League Cup final footage from 74, every football club used to sing You'll Never Walk Alone for some reason in cup finals. And obviously with what happened at Hillsborough, it became
adopted by
Liverpool's song. But yeah, so whether there was lots of, because Wolves haven't got to a final since the 80s, yeah. So maybe there was just lots of, as you call them, dars who just started singing You'll Never Walk Alone. But yeah. I remember that. I'd never seen
the dars.
I'd never seen comments.
Yeah, I'd never seen so many Wolves fans in one place either, and it not being at Molineux. Just being able to we were in the top tier and looking round to both sides and thinking, oh my God, it's Wolves everywhere. And a little bit different to Wembley the other month, that it was in the summer as well. Yeah. So everybody was in their colours, whereas if you look at the footage from Wembley, there's a lot of coats and stuff like that. It's not proper Wolves end. And the balloons and the noise of the horns as well, which if you watch the highlights...
That's still the loudest noise recorded at the Millennium Stadium, Wolves fans.
Is it? Was it? Yeah. I remember before the game, they had this... inflatable ball on the pitch, which they said was moved by sound. I mean, there's no way that's possibly true.
No.
Because the ball was rolling towards the Wolves fans, obviously shuffling up, but it was the wind. Clearly, it was the
wind. Next question is from Tristan. He says, "Where do you see the future of Vinagre after supposed interest from some much bigger teams and our fairly recent permanent move for Johnny?" Yeah. Barcelona and Liverpool, the teams linked with Vinagre. But I think this season it'd be daft for him to go, especially with the amount of football that he's bound to get this
season. He's not going to leave
term.
this season, especially when we're going to be playing like 60 odd games, all being well.
Well, win the treble.
I saw a Liverpool fan. Yeah, it's weird on Twitter with the sort of the Premier League fans of the top clubs. They don't sort of. They think every player they're doing. They think FIFA career mode is real life. So it's like. Ruben Vinagre, big talent. I think we should be able to sign him for £10 million. But Wolves would never get rid of him for 10 million.
30 million, then you're talking really.
How long? What was his contract that he signed in the summer last year?
I think him and Bonatini almost signed.
2022, Bonatini's, I think.
Yeah, I think they signed the same contract.
You've got him until then.
They signed the same contract as each other, so I think they're both.
They signed him for like 2 million, didn't they?
Yeah.
Vinagre, yeah.
I mean, we won't sell him regardless of what anybody offers, unless it is something silly like.
We've not got any cover at left back, and he's a bloody good cover. Arguably better than Johnny going forward.
Yeah.
If he adds to his defensive game, I can see him starting over Johnny, moving him to right back.
I think as well that they might turn him in. If they might put him in the gym now over the summer and turn him into a more of an attacking player, a little bit like what happened with Bale.
I'm scared you were going to say Costa then. When Costa bolts up in the summer.
I still remember when we did the thing for the fan cast.
I watched the Ajax. I watched the Ajax.
They laughed at you. Have you listened to it?
Nah.
We should have got that up for this podcast. We'll have to do it.
I said surprise package. How the Costa? He has surprised you. Fucking terrible.
They laughed at you.
I watched the Ajax review and you were like, yeah, I think Costa was our best player. Really bulked up. It's going to be a massive
season. He looked brilliant. He looked like a different animal.
Villarreal as well. I remember thinking, oh God, he looks good now.
I just think he's had a... I mean, I was going to say, I don't think he had a fair share of consistent minutes, but
he did. I remember he played the
18 games in a row he played.
Shit to get rid of him. Some of them like we tweet. Well, here. In terms of Vinagre, he's not going anywhere soon.
No.
I don't really care who comes in for him. He'd be daft to go.
Yeah.
He'll probably only be sold on by Barcelona anyway.
Back to us.
Okay, he ain't going to play, is he? Like the likes of Jordi Alba and so on. Someone has asked us about the new rules for the Premier League next season, so I'm going to say what they are anyway, and we can talk about them quickly. So in regards to handballs, if it accidentally hits a player's hand before it crosses the line for a goal, it will be disallowed. Free kicks, I don't think attacking players can go into a wall. Sometimes the wall and attacking players, I don't know. Penalties as well. I think a goalkeeper has got to have at least one part of his foot on the line. But that rule will go out the window.
There'll never be a penalty taken.
I know.
Ever.
Have they stopped that rule as well? Where you, or they should have. They started doing it a lot this season, where you take a goal kick and then they take the ball inside the box. It's obviously it's not a foul, is it?
No, and people. I'm surprised that nobody's used it to waste time because
they have started to do it this season. I've seen it quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, because there's no consequences.
No.
Just take it.
Yeah. New rule on substitutions as well. They have to leave the field at the nearest point.
Oh, really?
But The thing is, how can they judge that though? A lot of players will waste time with that anyway, because they'll like say they just sort of near a byline or whatever. They'll quickly dash towards a thing.
Well, you know, players now they go to the far wing. They'll just stay in the centre circle when they know they've been substituted. So then, the long.
And it's not like they're going to use VAR to find the closest point on the pitch.
Get to that.
That makes more sense than I think. Stops people time wasting.
Are they stopping subs being made in stoppage time as well? Because that was being talked about.
Obviously, yellow and red cards on managers is one, which I suppose
in the Premier League.
Yeah, apparently so.
It was terrible in the Championship.
Nuno's going to have a few other shit.
Nah, he's calmed down.
Drop balls as well.
They're stopping them, aren't they?
Yeah, the ball will now be returned to the team who last touched the ball before play stopped.
I think that's probably
with keepers receiving possession inside the penalty.
Is there a directive about kicking the ball out, like Leeds Villa?
It doesn't say. Just says about the ref stopping play. So I'm not sure.
No rule.
But yeah, they're.
I
think that makes sense, don't they? The majority of them.
Is there, how for the Champions League and the Europa League finals they're allowed 12 substitutes? Is that coming into the Premier League? Do you know?
There was a rumour about that, but I don't think there will. I don't know
if
can they do that in Europa? Is there 12 subs?
For the finals now? It's
as in the actual final, but not the
for Wednesday. It's starting now, so for all future European.
For next season.
It's starting.
Cool.
It's starting Wednesday.
That'll be good for Wolves.
How many subs can you make? Still 3.
Only 3.
I assume it's 3, but Ferguson always used to be on about it. You should be able to have a whole other team because there's no point if you've got your left back's got injured, you've only got a right back on the bench. You wouldn't. Have
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing though for Wolves next season.
Well, we need
travelling and
stuff.
Genuinely though, that's big. Like for the under 23s players, that's massive for them next season. Because you're on about Jeff Shee and Nuno saying they still want a relatively small squad. They do definitely have to add to the first team depth because we can't rely on. No disrespect to the likes of Ryan Giles and Niall Lennon stuff. We can't rely on them for.
Giles going to Shrewsbury anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to put 12 subs on there. You can just put minimum probably 6, 7.
Well, 7 is at the moment. We haven't struggled with that, have we?
Yeah, I think.
You'll probably just end up having the likes of John Ruddy and Will Norris because they both travel anyway. He'll just put 2 keepers on the bench.
I don't think they'll fill 12 subs out. Get Sondergaard in there.
It probably will. Yeah. Andrew Willis says, boys, what are the realistic expectations for next season? What are your transfer priorities? I think with a busy season in Europe, I think top 10 again would be a very good achievement. I would be very, very happy if we managed to qualify for Europe again next season. Whether that's through the European competition or through the league.
Group stage, Europa League, top 10 finish, perfect.
Yeah.
For me.
About the FA Cup.
Not asked.
I do.
No, I
love
a never cared about it, top.
I think the League Cup should be our priority.
If we got beaten
I was looking this morning. Do you know the last goal that we conceded in the League Cup?
2016.
You said I've seen that. Who was that again?
Gouffran for Newcastle.
Oh, when we played him twice in a row. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's quite a good record. But I would really like a run in the cup competitions and a proper. Not that this year's wasn't proper. We beat some massive teams, but if we got to the League Cup final or something and qualify for Europe that way, that'd be huge.
Because then you got the rest of the season then, because the League Cup final is still fairly early, isn't it?
I did call a run in the FA Cup this season, and in fact did predict that we get to the semi-final. But that was because I thought that we would be safe enough in the league by January to be able to really go for it. We know now that we can deal with the Premier League, so I think we should take the League Cup seriously because the early rounds of that are so easy.
I disagree. I think focus on the league and Europa League, and then give the kids a run out in the League Cup and that.
I think I will anyway, but it's early part of the season is going to be difficult. It'll be interesting to see how we get out of that. We've got to start the league well though, because I think we said it before. The pre-season's almost cut in half with your early Europa League games, although it's almost like friendly matches anyway.
That first round.
But they'll be up for it. Some of those teams, they'll be up for it. But Nuno's pre-season is fully based on fitness, and he gets them through this. So and there's with Shanghai as well in
Jimenez and Saiss are out on with international competitions until the end of June or something.
So they're back to the Europe. And then Gold Cup for Jimenez as well.
What was this about transfer as well?
Transfer priorities as well. I mean, if we say your position ideally, we need to strengthen
centre back, maybe 2.
I think we need depth all over really. I think left wing back's probably the only position we're fairly covered.
Cover at full backs. whether that be right or left. Obviously, Johnny can play on the right. Centre midfielder, centre half, striker.
Yeah.
So 4 or 5 players.
For me, an absolute priority is the centre back. If we could only sign one player, it'd be a centre back.
I mean, it's still 4 or 5 players, still a fairly small squad anyway in terms of
players,
the competition.
Players are going to leave, aren't they, as well? Like,
how do we stand on the homegrown front?
I checked it. We should be okay at the moment. With the Europa League, you have to have a certain amount of players that are trained at your club before they were 21, and I think we've only got Doc, who I have to double check it because he had a season out in Scotland. I don't know if it counts as the English FA.
Yeah. I imagine he was still a Wolves player.
He's contracted to Wolves, yeah. So I think he's the only one in the first team. Obviously, homegrown you're okay, but the thing with training, but you can register. You can either leave the slots empty or register.
If
like
you're under 21, they don't have to register, do you?
No. So you can.
But like Neves wasn't registered this year, was he? But
he'll have to because they're 22, Jota and stuff like that as well. I think Vinagre and Gibbs White are the only 2 you don't have to register from the current first team anyway.
Do you think we'll sign anybody mad like Delict or something? He's Mendes client. Do you think? Because if you think of
Felix and Delict.
We spoke last time about the increase in season ticket pricing, talking about the 17% extra or whatever. That's the 17% extra, isn't it? It's going out and signing somebody mad like that for 50, 60 million.
Do you think they'll break the transfer record again, 30 million?
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think we'll have one player that costs more than 30 million.
I have a feeling because you remember last year, all the rumours just come at once. Now Jimenez one was quick. Matina we found out on the Sunday, he signed on the Monday.
Yeah.
Or the Saturday night.
What was that bloke's name who was friends with Patricio?
Alec something.
Alec, yeah. Get him on the case.
Yeah. Everyone was there. Yeah.
Everyone's tearing strips out of him because he didn't sign until the day after. Like, full of shit.
And he had Moutinho as well, didn't he? Because he said Patricio's friend is coming as well, but we can't tell you who it is. But watch out.
Wasn't it Gelson Martins?
Wolves fan TV saying they confirmed it.
They confirmed it. We can confirm for our sources. HP. Cal, he says, if John Ruddy was to leave this summer, do you think we'd need to sign a new keeper, or could you trust Norris and Burgoyne?
Burgoyne will be gone.
I think he'll be gone as well.
I'd expect Norris to go out on loan rather than Ruddy to be sold.
Well, we've been linked with Walter Benitez from Nice, the goalkeeper, pretty good goalkeeper. I think if John Ruddy did leave, because I'd assume, but I think he'll play all the Europa League games anyway again.
I don't. I think Patricio will play in Europa League.
He should.
Patricio hasn't come to sit on the bench in Europe, has he?
Nah.
He can't show that kind of sentiment. The FA Cup isn't what it is with,
FA Cup and League Cup. That was, as long as we go on runs, he can play in that. But yeah, I think
it depends. Like perhaps Ruddy will play against the lowest. If we get to the group stage, he might play against the lowest.
But then
the bottom 2.
We're going to be starting games end of July. You're going to want to blood Patricio into the squad. You're not going to start with Ruddy if you're not going to carry it on. But the problem is like Norris as well. He's at a crossroads here. How is he got 24, 25? He's a good goalkeeper.
He hasn't played.
He's not played. He's played 1 minute. Yeah. He's at a crossroads. Whether he takes the money at Wolves or he goes elsewhere, takes a cut and actually plays. It's tough, really. He joined at probably the wrong time.
He hasn't proved himself really either, has he?
He was good in those couple of league games, but then Sunderland.
Christ,
Well, I'm gonna on Instagram. There's an account I follow called Wonders Weekly, and this week I think every day they've been posting a picture or a couple of pictures and giving their player summary and asking people out of 10 what they'd rate the players. So on, I think it was Saturday, they put a picture of Patricio on, and they gave him an 8 out of 10, which I thought is fair, isn't he? I mean, he wasn't unbelievable, he wasn't dreadful for the majority of the season. So someone put, if I'm honest, he's a liability. He's a great shot stopper, but his distribution is atrocious. He rarely comes to claim the ball, and his communication at the back has been worrying. I'd say 4 out of 10, and I would give Norris a big chance. But then you see that Wolves analytics thread on Twitter when they said Patricio's distribution was like in the top 10 in the Premier League, and he misplaced 3 short passes all season.
Short passing sound. It's just those long passes, but.
I think with the introduction of Den Donker, it got a lot
exactly what I was going to say, because before that right hand side he was aiming at Doc and alright, he should be able to keep the ball into play, but now he's just aiming for an area rather than one player. Because obviously Den Donker's 6'3", Doherty's 6'1.5". It's a lot easier for him to win that flick on. That's the only thing that's been poor about him though, really.
I don't think it's been that poor though. Apart from was it Bournemouth where they had a chance after he passed it to Cody and Cody flapped on it a little bit. Apart from that, I don't remember it coming to bite us really.
Well, there's someone else that commented who gave him a 5 out of 10. Checked his bio on Instagram. He's 15 years of age. He said he's a goalkeeper. He could have saved some of the things that Patricio couldn't have. I thought, yeah, sure.
He doesn't remember Jan Butts, does he?
Remember Graham Stack?
Yeah. The journeyman.
Have you listened to that Magic Sponge podcast?
No.
Oh my god, he's absolutely crazy.
Wasn't he part of the crossbar challenge that Wolves won on Soccer AM?
Yeah.
It was him, Matt Hill, George Friend, and someone else.
You seen that video of him nailing them 2 fans when he played in Belgium?
Yeah.
They ran onto the pitch and he knocked one of them out.
He was like
No, Graham Stacky, yeah, Stacky knocks it out.
Jan Butts played at Molyneux the other day.
Yeah, that's why he's in my head.
Jonathan says, why were Wolves so inconsistent throughout the Premier League in regards to, I'd imagine, if we would have beat the teams, the bottom 6 teams, we would have 22 more points and would be in 3rd place.
But if we hadn't beaten the top 4, we'd have been 10th.
If my nan had bollocks, she was my granddad, but she hasn't, so she's not.
My nan.
Yeah.
Part of it, I think, was a little bit of arrogance. I think perhaps after we'd beaten Palace, and then we had Watford back in the autumn, and we just thought we'd had to turn up against Watford and win because they were on a bad run. Brighton away as well. I think it was just we can just turn up here, knock the ball about a bit, and we'll win.
A lot of people
first part of the season
saying they're not motivated. Look, that's rubbish. I just think it was a little bit of arrogance. You've got to alter the way you play. But you know you can't expect people to just be like, just worry about what Wolves are going to do. Look, the Premier League teams for a reason. Alright, Huddersfield were absolutely dreadful, but still got 6 points against us. So they're obviously dangerous in some regard. And I think we went into that very, very naive, especially Nuno. And I think he learned his lessons somewhat towards the end of the season.
Definitely.
But I think the Southampton game you can write off just because of Wembley. I think that was.
And similar to Burnley as well. The other side of Wembley, we were very cautious going into that game. Burnley had to win that game. But yeah, as you said about Nuno, he was so obnoxious almost in that first half of the season. This is how we play. This is our.
He actually said it a lot.
This is our team.
You don't know what are the numbers. This is football. You don't know how we play.
But it became so predictable. You didn't even have to scout Wolves. You knew that Traore was going to come on. You knew that Cav was going to come on, and it was so predictable that it was obviously going to get sussed out at some point. It would have been that 6 games. Whoever that 6 games was against, it just so happened that it was 6 games that we should have won.
Yeah. I mean, to finish it off, because we're about an hour in, one player, if we could sign, realistically, one player who could sign this summer, apart from De Ligt.
Well, that's me, isn't it?
Realistically. I like the Rondon shout, man.
Rondon?
Yeah. I know it's easy, it's in the press, but for 16 million quid for a striker of that quality, I think you'd be daft.
I know people moaning about it, but I don't think you'll find a striker for that value.
It's exactly what we need as well. We need someone a little bit different. I can see him playing with Jimenez and with Jota. By all accounts, he's a really good lad as well.
I saw as well, someone put a poll on Twitter today, if in a parallel universe Wolves sign Cristiano Ronaldo, who would get pushed out of the team, Jota or Jimenez? And Jimenez was a lot higher than Jota.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I think it'd suit Jota.
I think Jota, Because,
I mean, this is probably the most pointless part of the podcast.
You laughed at me for saying De Ligt, and now we're having a discussion about Ronaldo.
Tom's wondering if Gareth Bale's a good shout or not. He's there like, they're going to laugh at me. I say Gareth Bale.
5 reasons why. I keep saying the same couple on this podcast. I've said Vardy in the past, I've said Ake in the past. So I don't.
Either of them, I'd take either of them.
Either of them.
I'd probably take Dave Azzopardi after his midfield strike.
Clean streak, mate. Interception,
heading ability,
the interceptor,
jumping rate 0,
jumping and ducking at the same time.
You just didn't want to head them balls.
Incredible skill.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there's a charity match that we did at Molineux last week. For everyone, there's little jibes here and there, but there will be highlights coming very soon. On someone's channel anyway.
And low lights.
Yeah,
low
we've
lights.
already seen it. I'm sure Dave
Matt Cooper's drop. Let's put it on. I'll put it on the screen now so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
as you can see, the ball's coming. Fantastic first touch. I've gone to take it round the man, ping it out wide to you, and I felt a clear pushing me back.
Despite no one being within 5 yards.
And the ref didn't give it. I couldn't believe it. I was raging.
That's Neves to George Savile in the blink of an eye.
Jimmy Savile.
On that note, Matt.
And on that bombshell.
that is the end of season Talking Wolves podcast. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or whatever you're listening on, make sure you leave us a review. Not a 3-star review with no comment like someone did last time. Smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Before we go, Matt, would you like to give yourself a plug?
I thought you'd never ask Dave. At least buy me a drink first. M Cooper writes, which is right as in written.
Rouse.
Oh, I was just waiting for you to introduce me. The Old Golden Black on YouTube.
How about Twitter?
He's more active on Twitter these days, isn't he?
Yeah.
Old Gold 1877.
Thank you. Yeah.
There we go.
Dave, where can we find you? FM superstar.
Dave is a party on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Thank you.
Matthew James Cope on LinkedIn as well if anyone wants to connect.
I think you got another job.
I do, but you can never be so sure, can you?
Anyway,
Cool.
guys,
Take that out. Get sacked before we start.
thanks for the support this season. I may do another podcast over the summer, but if not, Wolves will be in Europe the next time we talk.
And so will we.
What? Are you promising that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
It's podcast in Budapest. But guys, thank you very much, and we'll see you all very soon.